They want more.
Sure.
Regardless,
Quite a few tissues, though, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think statistically they would potentially be limited with this one, right? And you will have to see with Aconyx and Darkzero how they adapt, because they've been over here. They came over to America for the first time in a lot of their lives, I bet, right? That's insane, going to a new country, trying out new foods, being in Atlanta, Georgia, where we have a lot of amazing, food and places to visit. We have an awesome park, as well as some fantastic sports teams that are cursed, but, that's every city. That's not the LA Dodgers. And right now for Aconyx, they're banning out some smart heroes, getting rid of Groot and Jeff early, opposite side for Darkzero, keeping the Mantis protected.
Yeah, again, I think that they can run that Mantis. We haven't been able to see a lot of it from the side of Velocity, who is definitely, known for playing a very strong Mantis as well. And a little shout out there, Smash on controller as a duelist for those at home who maybe play on the sticks. Just a standard controller with claw. That is a cool and crazy fact that I honestly would have never thought possible at this level of play, but these guys are just built different. Goodbye to Hela and the Loki ban. Again, Loki coming in and play here in the bans and protects, and I love to see it.
Yeah, it's smart. That character's really good. You already know Velocities loves it. Everybody's loving it in general with the group being banned. They also get rid of the Loki, so maybe just not going into that matchup. But that's the interesting part, is that team up, they're all just strong heroes by themselves, right, Shib? And, the Mantis, the Loki, and the Groot. Opposite side for Darkzero, they're focusing on Aconyx's Hela player, right? The Hela Namor sort of duo. She's also the anchor of that team up, so prioritizing that hero because that's all they've shown so far.
Sure.
So it makes sense that that's what you want to ban.
Yeah, weakening the strengths is definitely a huge strategy here, and again, the banning is typically led here from Velocity, but he's also mentioned to me that this whole team chimes in throughout this process. This is more of a collaborative effort, just kind of leading the charge a bit. So gonna lock in that Warlock. Korova gonna be able to play the Golden God right up there. It's gonna be matched right back, potentially by Kovac.
You think because it's Halloween weekend, we get to see Korova painted in gold coming through, the statues in downtown New York and stuff?
Yeah.
We're going to see him in that full cosplay. That'd be funny.
Yeah, we'll just make it a reality now. By everybody, you heard it here first. No.
Oh, gosh, okay. Well,
no, just kidding.
Big investment. Netties, send out your best cosplay, people. Let's see it. Let's see it. No, it's going to be interesting to see that matchup between him, Kovac, and Korova. Exact same letters, count-wise, because that's the in-depth analysis we do here for a team that is 0-3. It's the best we could do, honestly, Shib, to prop them up. And Kovac can potentially reach that level of Korova. But can they take down the Golden God, as you said, Shib?
Yeah, we've seen some crazy plays across the board here for Darkzero. This team has looked very, very good. They took out Chopper Mag earlier, and that was, again, a fun one to watch. Potentially the closest match we've seen so far, going all the way to Game 3, and still, even in domination, going 99% on both sides. So teams are very strong, but Darkzero has looked refreshed. They've looked reborn. Reborn, I like that. With Adam Warlock, a little res right there. But either way, this team is cohesive. And I'll tell you what, Aconyx on their side, they're a team that's gotten better every time we've watched them. I truly believe that. I think if they had more time, they'd be far better contenders. It's just the unlucky situation that they are in where not everyone can make it, so they are, losing 2 players and their coach.
Yeah. That sort of has impacted a ton of teams here, but regardless, we'll see the best team at the end of the day, right? And hopefully in the future, when we see more amazing Marvel Rivals events, and as we progress through this group stage, we will see the top dogs duke it out this Friday. Coming up, man. Starting out, we see Darkzero playing that Venom dive composition. We get to see Impunity try to practice that hero a bit more. Kami gets ran over.
Right, amazing. No stranger to Mantis as well. Is going to be running that Mantis. Goodbye to Kami there, and that's a nice start to the pick. Down goes Egg as Korova finds one. Make it 2, why don't you? As Disaster falls as well. Impunity going to take and own that space. Get punted into the wall is Right Amazing. Smash going to find Kuma and make sure that wasn't too much value. And there's that Adam Warlock battle as Korova finds another pick. Does a great job. When I had that conversation again with LAN, I mentioned that animation cancel that a lot of teams struggle with. Doing it successfully, he does very, very well. So teams will like to try not to do it, but you'll see him doing it very, very frequently.
And I believe Korova actually offers coaching on his very own Twitch channel for people that come in. He's even I've seen him recruiting Baser, a top tier Marvel Rivals player who competes at the highest level in a lot of teams. But now Darkzero going for those dives and setting up incredibly well on this backline, gets countered.
Wow. That was just some really good coordination there, as Cammy's going to clean up Impunity, who just gets deleted in a moment, not even able to use any cooldowns. Velocity holding on to that invisible boundary again. The point has been held by DZ this entire time. Already at 44 and counting. Out goes, I thought I heard the strangling, but I guess not yet, as it's 83%. Alt advantage going to be on the side of DZ, who do have Kurova, Rising, and Velocity. A lot of strategists available to counter up, and that is what they're going to do, as Kovac finds the first pick on a Rising.
Yeah, huge first pick, doing what he has to do. Kurova brings them back, though, in the high ground. They'll be back in the fight to touch that objective. At that point, I mean, it's not been contested too much. Grudelt on the high ground goes... actually, where did that go? Did it go anywhere?
I'm not sure where that landed, honestly. I didn't get to see it, as Matera is going to find Cammy, and Kovac going to bring that res right back, so the team is still battling. Out we go with the Galactic Legend now. Eyes will be upwards. Is Smash going to find one on a Mercury? Do I see more with the follow-up here with the Psionic Seduction? A lot of damage out, but not going to find any value in terms of picks. Kovac going to bring that another res back here, as the numbers are roughly even on this next fight. But again, nobody has ult. It is going to be a neutral battle.
I mean, they've controlled the point. This is what we talked about in the last series. Darkzero have been doing it better and better throughout, just never giving up the point. 95%, they come back with the res, didn't flip it. Aconyx on their side, you know, they look like they can't prioritize the objective with their composition. It's been tough.
Egg is in a dangerous spot again, 99% already. This team is just so consistently strong. Rising breaks free from the sleeve, looks directly back at Kurova. Both teams and backline are going to be healthy. OT slowly ticking down, one on point still. Got to have that prio in a moment. There's that pick, and that's OT's done. That's a W here on map 1 for Darkzero.
And W0 today. Darkzero seemed to just... It's not even a fair matchup between Kovac and Kurova. Like, that's a, you know, the Luna Snow, genuinely, Egg Tart has looked terrible. Like, it's not even like the sugarcoat. It's just unfortunate because I think the hero, it's because of the hero, right? Because he's playing Luna Snow against full dive, and his team, they're not playing Invisible, and they can't play these heroes that should be able to live. That's why we see people play Rocket Raccoon and stuff. I mean, it's just like they're playing front-to-back style with the Groot and the Emma. But we've seen, at least so far in the tournament, like, if you're against the aggressive style of a lot of dive comps, your backline just can't live, even if you see how much they have to invest to just get rid of Impunity once.
Yeah, no, you're right. I do agree. It's very tricky. You know, because you see the strengths of Luna as a whole with that hit scan ability and some very strong cooldowns, but a lot of that goes out the window when somebody's directly on top of your face, and Impunity is going to keep that pressure on 24/7 while Smash is just dancing above, using that Blaster Barrage to get ult, and once ult is available, you're forcing out everything those strategists have to maintain position on point. It's just a very consistent and strong composition here for Darkzero, very much in their comfort picks. You know, it goes back to that banning situation, but again, Darkzero has a huge pool.
They do, yes. They're incredibly flexible for sure. This is their chance, though, Aconyx. They do have that Luna Snow, Fate of the Worlds. Maybe they could prove a point with this ult maybe coming up if they don't get picked early.
And we'll start right now, and down goes the Feast. Damage is out, but that bond was massive, as nobody takes any damage there. Does get applied and does give some over health, to Impunity, who is already at 11%. But everybody on Darkzero has ult available, and they're ready to launch, as Aconyx are just holding on to 2, almost 3 here. Kuma, who should be shortly behind. Out goes another Galactic Legend from Smash that finds Kovac instantly, even forcing out ults after the fact. Oh my goodness, a 2-piece there with Matera cleaning up Kuma. Cammy gonna find Velocity, though. The rest comes through from Kovac and Disaster, but then Kurova brings everyone back. Everybody is coming back into the fight. It's like nothing happened, but the ticker is going up here for Darkzero once more.
Yeah, but they don't have an ult after. I mean, they're just going to get walked on at the moment. Unless they were to find a crazy pick over this Soul Bond, they're all gone. It's all over, right? And this is the problem. They're not running Venom. They're running Groot alongside this Emma Frost. We just saw in the last series, you can only really afford to run one sort of peel tank. They're running basically 2 with this front-to-back style, and they're not even doing that well with it. They're just getting ran over, and you could blame the comp. Sometimes I talked to Melio about this behind the scenes. So you have to decide as a team, was it a skill issue or was it a comp issue? And that's the hardest point. That's the hardest thing to decide as a team, and that's what requires some really large brains in terms of, like, for example, Melio on Citadel. They really think about those things to an incredibly high level.
Yeah, and I mean, that's another downside to not having your coach, right? So that's just another point against him, unfortunately. But yeah, Darkzero looking very, very consistent here, 65% and climbing. You will see the Galactic Legend and the Psionic Seduction available here for Aconyx, and they need to find value with that. It is their only chance at bouncing back at the moment, as it's already in single fight territory on the retake here for Darkzero. And there, his bond is pulled out. Disaster now going to launch out with ult, going to immediately use that Galactic Legend. Ton of damage on the front line of Matera, who is still holding on tight. Great rotation there from the backline and patience, knowing when the time was necessary. Even through that, all goodbye, Kuma, as Matara cleans up one. Numbers back in their favor again, even through those ultimates. Cammy could not use that strangling prison. The dance floor is out there for Egtart. The portal is going to need to happen even through that ultimate from Cammy. Or Kuma had fallen as well. We'll be using that portal, so they do have the prison to try to make a play. But wow, Darkzero have not missed a beat, and you can see it on everyone as Impunity finds one. Matara, Karova, and the portal comes through.
Yeah, portal comes through, DZ touches, overtime taken down, throwing the ult out. Strangling Prison doesn't even matter, as do every single ult in this game. And Darkzero close it out to first map was pretty easy for Darkzero, honestly. And, you know, this is kind of what I want to talk about, Chip, real quick. Like, I feel like for the side of Darkzero, I mean, not the side of Darkzero, for Aconyx, right? It seems like Cammy understood, like, they needed to play a composition that would go aggressive, right? He was constantly feeding on Emma Frost. We saw him going aggressive past his team, dying, you know, in the middle of a Luna Snow dance floor, right? On the backside, losing a Luna Snow early or losing somebody else early before the Fate of the Worlds comes out. Point is, sometimes you're set up to fail, right? Yeah. Players in chat, sometimes, I know a lot of chat members that are probably in bronze, silver, gold, they don't understand. No, actually, it's not a funny thing.
No.
It's hard to understand that sometimes you're set up to fail.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes in life, no matter what you do, you're set up to fail. Sometimes when you're playing a game with a bunch of friends, you don't have a coach. You sometimes are left without your players in the backside. Sometimes your composition's bad and you think you could change it. You could do something else. Like, I called the Egg Tart for playing bad, sure, but that's because they were set up to fail. That because Cammy went down earlier, 7 eliminations on him, it's not necessarily his fault. He played bad, sure, but you could blame the whole team. It's a team game. People don't understand that. People flame. People go to people's Twitch chat. People snipe streamers and stuff all the time. Go to the chat and talk massive trash because they played bad in a game or whatever. But sometimes you're just not set up for success. And this whole team of Aconyx, I'm sure they're full of talented players that will come back the next tournament and look even better.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more with that. I think that's a great call out. I think it is such a team-based game that any link in the chain that isn't fully connected can fully destroy the chain and not hold the weight that is necessary. One player not providing the value that is necessary, not having the pick available that is needed for your team to succeed, can tank the entire team, and it's that simple. That's all it has to be.
And that's why I don't play with friendship, because all my friends are terrible, and I'm going to completely erase everything I just said about not being mean. Just kidding, no. Love playing with Shib, love playing with some of our friends behind the scenes. Convergence, though, we're going to Symbiotic Surface Shib, seeing it once again, and Aconyx actually looked pretty good on this map type. I don't know if, Domination, they also looked pretty solid, right, on Symbiotic Surface, but what do you think coming into this one for Darkzero? Like, the ban phase has just been going all in their way, right? They're okay running against that Groot if that's the case.
Yeah, I think I'm curious as to what we need to see here. Again, Aconyx has gotten through the first point a few times, never pushed all the way themselves to point 3. So that's obviously something that's a little tricky, but we are going to be checking out this new event here in Marvel Rivals, a personal favorite event of mine where you get to go around a little game board here, unlock some of these skins and cool emotes, some stickers, etc. I'm telling you what, get in there, check it out. It is awesome.
The Voyage to Astonish is around in game. You can earn yourself some incredible skins, such as the Blade Knight. And Blade has so many cool skins, man. It's kind of interesting that we actually haven't seen much Blade in this, but you can see him in that PvE game mode that is totally available, and you've told me is massively addicting, and I'm sure a lot of people know that as well in chat.
Yeah, absolutely. And checking out this Penny skin, another really big hit here. I'm telling you, these skins are so cool. Blade Knight, a personal favorite of mine. If you haven't checked out Marvel Zombies, definitely do that, as it is a beautiful show, and it is the inspiration behind that Blade Knight, who plays a big part in that show. But look at this Penny skin. Are you kidding me? If you're playing Penny and you're not rocking the skin, you are missing out, as we will see that MVP here coming up in a moment. But it even changes the abilities. Check this beauty out.
Ooh, man. It looks like a little hamster ball where you can run around, and said it's a bunch of mines that will destroy your face. Penny Parker mains love this character for a good reason. There's a lot of people who pretty much one-trick Penny Parker. And, man, the music as well that goes along with this is sick. I would want to see, like, a Spanish-themed map even, you know?
Oh, sure.
Something like that. That would go a little hard. I'm not even from Spanish descent, but I freaking love it, and I live in Arizona, so it's very close by to the border. And, you know, I enjoy this sort of stuff. As you check out our Voyage to the Astonish, it's in-game right now.
Absolutely. So yeah, I'll tell you what, we're going to be heading back into this series here in a moment, but we're going to be going to Symbiotic Surface again. Aconyx is typically always, and you know what, they always are choosing this map. If I'm being fair, this is the map they feel most comfortable at. They have progressed through the first point in their first series, and they looked good doing it, but we want to see that again from them. This team is consistently getting stronger together, and now is the moment where you need to show up again, backs against the wall, everything on the line. If you want to get more of the slice of pie from that prize pool, you need to show up right now.
Yeah, and you got to hope they're not defeated, right? That's the most important thing. You have to have that sort of mentality that the fire is burning in your system, right? You have to be able to compete at the highest level, and to do that, you need to be mentally prepared. And it can be hard to do that again if you're in scrims, if you're losing consistently and stuff. But for Aconyx, you have to trigger that sort of anger. I don't know. I mean, maybe that's just competition in general. But to be honest, I always played better angry almost shit. I mean, you were you were a higher level athlete than me, but whenever I played football, like I feel like I played better when I was angry. Like I needed to be angry at the guy that I was against to be able to beat him. No, like you have to get a little sort of peeved.
Yeah, I think it goes to confidence, and it's funny because I actually had this conversation in an interview with Smash, where Smash essentially said, I can only play my best when I think I am confident that I can win, no matter what. If you're ever playing on your heels, it's similar to baseball with the yips, right, where you don't think you can hit the ball, you're not going to hit the ball. You need to know that it's something you can do. Very similar in Marvel Rivals. You need to think that you can win if you're going to win. If you're constantly saying, let's just try to squeeze a point or two out, you are going to be playing on your heels and playing horrendously. You need to feel confident, and that's what I hope for Aconyx right now.
Yeah, and they'll have to figure it out coming in. I mean, it's hard to build that confidence back up, right? Yeah. And, you know, that's something that's going to be worked on, right? And that's kind of, I mean, not to get too deep, but we were waiting anyways for the map to get starting. Like, that was sort of the reason that I retired from playing from hero shooters and not playing Marvel Rivals to a professional level, because you have to be confident, like you said. Yeah. But if you lose that confidence, it's very hard to get back, right? Like, there were times when I would be, like, super imposter syndrome and be like, damn, like, I suck. Like, I've been dominated by, like, these players. And you got to realize that, you know, picture, like, the big picture, stuff happens, and also Aconyx are still fantastic players. They're all super high level. If they can somehow remember that, right, that's the most important thing, is somehow triggering that mentality. They'll be back in the series, and I'm sure we'll see them, and I'm sure their fans are still happy to see them here regardless. And, you know, worst case scenario, they lose the game, they get 25 grand, and then they go and hang out in Atlanta for a little bit, right? Be in a different country and get to watch everybody play on a stage that you will hopefully aspire to be a part of. So, you know, they can definitely come back on this map. I don't want to definitely discount them. But it's looking pretty rough. This upcoming map, they're going to have to focus on the ban phase, have to focus on what Darkzero is weak at. And maybe they played the name war comp and stuff earlier. They could go back to it, but honestly, maybe go back to these, like, sort of just full play the objective compositions, right? Maybe focus around keeping your backline alive. They're a bit disconnected on the front line. If they slow it down slightly, maybe implement a little bit more thing. If they go dive comps and stuff, that could enable them a little bit better. But taking a look at it, man, I mean, they are statistically eliminated basically by losing this. And, you know, we'll have to see who that next spot is, right? At the moment, it seems like everybody's sort of kicking down on Aconyx. I hate to say it. Like, it feels like people are taking their turns bullying them, but you know, that's kind of the benefit of now watching towards the end of this group. If you watch, if you tune in later today, tomorrow, where the heck are these teams going to end up that's in top 5? Because Envy, Darkzero, Chopper Mag, Reject, I mean, you could say Chopper Mag's going to be that 5th spot, but who freaking knows? Like, this group is so in the air, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. You can see there from the lit up section, those are the teams that are going to be making it through at the moment. Obviously, that will change as time goes on, but you know, the two on the bottom side there will be eliminated from this tournament. And we're going to be looking here at the draft shortly, but the question is going to be, you know, what do they need to do? What do you think you want to see from this team in order for them to have a better ban phase? I mean, the Warlock is a potential ban out, but what do you think it is?
Well, I mean, like, I always think of a joke immediately, because that's the only way. I tend to joke when I'm trying to deflect, right? As anything in life, right? Yeah, when you're uncomfortable, you deflect. Of course. With a joke. So that's what I'm going to do here, Shib. No, I'm not actually. I was going to say maybe, like, you could forfeit the match after the half. That is a little too mean. Sorry. Yeah, okay, that's a little too mean. But I think this team maybe, like, focus on getting rid of the strengths of the opposite side. Impunity wouldn't be a bad target ban, right? I think we've seen that in the North American region. You know, we've seen that the target bans do work. We're seeing it more now. It's a matter of how much do they know. How, like you said, do your research. I mean, I'm sure they have done the research, but it's also hard because there's so many games going on. You also want to focus on yourself, the new meta, the new patch. So even if you watch back the games in North America, how up to date is it, right? With the newest patch, how up to date is their current composition? That's something that Aconyx have to take in account to this next map.
Yeah, and we will be seeing the band phase start up here now, folks. Thanks for bearing with us as we see Darkzero up 1-0 against Aconyx, a team that unfortunately at the moment is 0-3 on the board here in our group stages. Again, folks, for those who don't know the group stages, it's going to be a round robin. Everybody will be playing everyone. It's all about who has the best record to push forward, and each group, top teams will progress, and the two on the bottom side of both groups will be eliminated before the knockout. You see here, Manta is going to be locked in once more here from both sides, and you know, it's looking a little samey at the moment, which I don't think is the answer here if you want to take a W.
Yeah, I mean, it's looking samey. Maybe because we're moving over to Convoy and Convergence, they're looking like maybe they could play that slower style. Now that we go to Symbiotic Surface, that's, I guess, maybe they just assume on Domination it's going to be brutal. But yeah, I mean, they're going to have to figure something important out, which is, I don't know, I mean, they kind of want to play what their comfort picks are, I imagine. Maybe Egg-Tart feels comfortable playing the Luna Snow, for example, but the Bucky band's fine. I like that out of them, getting rid of that on Darkzero's side. The Loki band, too, makes sense because of what Darkzero like to run, so you can see they have sort of like an idea of a plan here. Yeah,
and again, it's funny, you kind of mentioned the Luna right now being very vulnerable at this level of play when you don't have the right picks to protect around her. But it's funny because in the last, if you think about Season 4 even, throughout Stage 2, Luna Snow was a big ban target. You know,
yeah.
It's so funny how these patches can consistently shake up the meta, which is why I think this sport is incredibly fun to watch, because everything's changing up and the teams need to be adaptable. They can't just be good at one thing. You need to be able to adjust on the fly to make new changes to your team comp or what you're maybe less comfortable in running, and open up your hero pool to a hero ocean in order to get a win.
And something changes when we get to LAN, by the way, Shib. Like, something completely changes as there's an incredible amount of stuff happening, it looks like, on the other stream right now. A lot of noises behind us. We're entering into Darkzero and Aconyx, and it is dead silent on Aconyx's side. But maybe they can open that shark mouth of theirs and get a little bit of a roar out. But yeah, we saw, like, what was the point I was making in the first place, Shib? You know, ADHD brain get a little lost sometimes.
Essentially, what we need to see from this team is we need to see them, you know, even going back to what you're just discussing, up their energy, get confident, get mad, like you're saying. You know what I mean? You need to step up right now, look Darkzero in the eyes, and find a way to pressure through them. Change up your composition, change up your band strategy, find your way through it, and they are.
And the problem is, if DZ talks trash, you know, they're going to talk in English, and I don't know how much English they actually know. I think Aconyx does know a lot of English, actually, so they would know, especially this man named Egg-Tart. There we go. Maybe Darkzero needs to talk a little trash, because that's how I got fired up, right? It's hard in a video game to actually get emotionally invested when people are not saying much on the opposite side, right? So sometimes somebody needs to call your mom a pig to get aggressive. You know what I'm saying? That's what I needed, at least when Stalker did that to me. So sometimes maybe a little kick in the butt could get them going as they start out again on Hulk of all things. Are you kidding?
I'm telling you, changing it up. This is what honestly, this is what I was hoping to see from this team. A team that has been struggling. Shake everything up. Try something that's going to throw these teams off. Impunity going to be slept there as Kovac finds the first pick onto Smash. Down goes one as they were looking to portal off map in that moment. So you can see that thing floating right there, and that was going to be a matter of decision. Kovac going to find Impunity, and that's a two-piece now. The Bucky getting some serious value once more. This is the shakeup they needed. They have a ton of presence on point now. The portal's already gone. They may get this point cap relatively quickly. They just got to make sure they can follow up now, try to get another pick if possible while down numbers, but looks like they're going to slow up and stall. The touch comes through here from Matara, and now the Strange v Strange battle begins. It's all about this next fight, and if they can take up advantage in numbers, keep it moving. What a pull.
That was nice. Kovac! Are you kidding me on the Bucky? I mean, this man's him.
That's what we needed to see, and that was clean, like you're saying, as out goes that Sia. That damage boost will be deleted instantly. Tough positioning there from Velocity, but still able to find one pick. Ayavamoto is huge. Can they follow up as Matara is just trying to hold on to cancel out the Lunaso dance where you can actually use Strange shield there to stop the heals. For those who maybe didn't know, you can actually do the same thing with Emma's shield too, if placed correctly. So big brain play there to try to get a pick, but team did not follow through. But after I say that, 3 picks come through from Korova. Amazing Smash now. Gonna find Kovac, and they do retake after the heavy momentum shift there from Aconyx.
At least they got 2 ticks, right? Moving forward, they can use that to their benefit. Disaster going down is definitely not going to benefit them whatsoever, because he's going to maybe pop that passive. Hopefully he doesn't, cancels it, goes back to spawn. We'll save it for another fight. But getting that Bucky advantage was big for them in the draft phase at the very least, right? You could see how much he's doing to counter the dives of Impunity. Impunity's playstyle, though, he's been doing pretty good too. Just making sure he can live from that Bucky on his side. We'll see what happens upcoming, though. 2 minutes left on the clock, 82% of the board. Aconyx have a real shot here.
Yeah, you can see just like the cockroach that is Venom on the high side, just always ready to dive onto the backline as Disaster goes down quickly there. with ultimate available, does have the self-res, so still going to keep numbers even. Smash on the off angle, great utilization there of the dash. Smash, it is essentially an I-frame, an invulnerability frame, so dodges the Hulky on the exile there, and here comes the ultimate committing heavy with Galactic Legend out of the back line, is going to force out an ult as Mercury answers that right back. Egg Tart going to be there shortly. Cammy going to ult up right now, and Hulk is angry. Kuma holding on in Disaster as well. Qs are available, and now it's all about can they get value with them, as nothing is happening quite yet, but space is being taken, and that is something important at the moment. Great decision there. Really well played.
Kraken impact to follow up on that from Cammy. Nothing to follow into it except Avagmoto from Dara, and that peels off enough for velocities. Disaster forced to use the res. Korova still has his available too, and it's going to be used in this upcoming fight as AC trying to get some point aggression. They need to pop off on Bucky now. There's not much on DZ's side besides that res, but they lose Disaster, and he has no res.
And Korova's ready with res as well. I really can't believe they didn't win that fight. That looked like it was very much in their favor, and they were running it pretty clean, but turned right back around. Adam now impunity walking down the back line is going to be looking at Bucky now right on to the Mantis. Mercury has to run. Matara is going to find Kovac, and that is the pick there on the Mercury. 35 seconds and counting down.
Yeah, right now Aconyx have been kind of been ran on by Darkzero. I mean, the whole team, Korova's finding his pickoffs on Disaster, absolutely doing amazing. You talked about how good he's at Adam Warlock. Delena's mentioned. You said that he is the best Adam Warlock in the game, better than him at the very least in his opinion. Smash in the sky now, Galactic Legend tries to open it up as well, force out some Stratus ults out of AC.
Yeah, Smash is going to use that to force out ultimates, and that dance floor is launched, and Mercury ulting as well, and that was the ult they chose, excuse me, on the Mantis with the Soul Resurgence. Kovac dropping back, does have ult available with the Kraken impact. Could be huge as it launches out now. Korova reses up, getting ready to ult to cancel all of this progression if need be. Overtime ticking down, got to get on point here shortly, and they do touch there to make sure they have a better chance at this. There goes the commitment with the dance floor from Egtar, but you cannot leave the point. Smash and Velocity gonna find two. Moto get launched here. Does that find value from Kuma? Not quite yet. Disaster has res available and is going to use it, but they are not on the point, and that will be a hold there from Darkzero.
Yeah, huge hold from Darkzero. They really made Aconyx incredibly uncomfortable. I mean, Aconyx is playing a front-to-back style, but it didn't seem like they ever got to the front because of how much damage was coming through from Darkzero. The whole squad really putting things in. Smash sort of using his ult as a bait, it felt like, Chib, right? Like many times, forcing out Shredder's ults and stuff. And for Darkzero's squad, I mean, this is a statement win, first of all, because of how well I think Aconyx played versus Chopper Mag, how well Darkzero also played versus Chopper Mag. So, I mean, Darkzero want to make statement wins right now and really prove that they can qualify, because Envy, they can take advantage of them losing to Reject, maybe with some good games against Reject later on, as we'll get to see DZ versus Reject. That's going to be an incredible matchup too.
Yeah, that'll be a fun one to watch, as we see a compositional change here, at least so far in the spawn door for DZ, and this is coming from a place of confidence, I believe, as we are going to see Rye over there on that Daredevil, pulling out Matt Murdoch, and we've seen success with it from Rye Amazing before, who looked insane on that hero. Actually, potentially in the conversation for the first win here in the grand finals, but it was happening at the exact same time as another match that had Daredevil, so who knows where that ended, but that could be there.
Well, I think I could be mistaken, but Daredevil's undefeated, right? So, yeah, because, I mean, the overall map, at least 5-1 earlier when we saw it, it won the specific maps that it was played in. It might be undefeated so far, and it would make sense. The win rates is, if we look back at stats, I looked at rank stats the other day. I think Daredevil's like, what, number 2 in terms of win percentage in the overall game right now?
Yeah, but I think, I mean, he's really strong. Very snowbally, too, in ladder, but Darkzero was running it at the same time as Chopper, which they also tried to pull it out for a little bit, so I don't know how we count that, but either way, it still was a win for Daredevil ultimately, but now they're moving forward again, and that is an insane lockdown there, as Impunity is going to find Cammy, and this is a very aggro push. Oh my goodness, this could spell disaster here for Aconyx, who needed this win to be progressing forward. At the moment, they are being held off. The points ticking down. They're not even touching. They got to get there now, and they can't even do it. Wow, what a decisive win by Darkzero.
Yep, incredible game from Darkzero. They finish up on the day with a 2-0 win. That was very clean. They didn't really have any mistakes. Honestly, maybe at the beginning you could say they looked a little bit slow to kind of adapt, and you know, they were taking advantage of it, points, right, getting picked off sometimes when they probably shouldn't, and that's their biggest problem, honestly, that they need to patch out, and they did on that map, right? When we've seen Darkzero in the past, at least for Chopper Mag, like, DZ would just sometimes randomly get picked in the middle of Stratus ultimates, or when they probably shouldn't, right? And that's the thing that they need to work on. Then they look improved at it, and we'll see if they can continue to improve at it moving forward in the group stages, because they will need to if they want to take down top dogs like Envy and Reject. But yes, with that, unfortunately, that means Aconyx is eliminated Chib, sending them home. Well, staying them here, I mean, that's a big weight off your shoulders at the very least. Like, stats-wise, we don't even have to freaking look at this. Like, they got dominated, guys. Like, we know, but Aconyx at least gets to check out Atlanta. They